have no idea how fast. I have no idea. Last year, believe me, it was February. And we all of a sudden, we kicked it in, and we had a couple home games that we played well, and then all of a sudden we caught fire, and it was, off to the races. This year, who knows? I mean, the year before, if you remember, we had about 5 or 6 wins that should have been losses. We just happened to make a shot, a tip in, or something happened that we won unexpectedly 4 or 5 of those games. We have that kind of schedule again this year. So we could lose 4 or 5 early. But last year showed you it really doesn't matter. It's, are you getting better? The schedule sometimes dictates you're going to lose some games. You don't want to lose any. You want to win them all, but it's not how it goes.
John, what made you want to go ahead and get Ryan here and now?
Well, I think, one, he's a terrific player, and he's a really good young man. We looked at and said, you know what, he makes us better.
Coach, how would you compare Marcus's offseason to Josh Harrison's last year? What can you compare those?
Eloy's gotten better, but Josh, see, the term insanity, I'm going to do the same things over and over, and I'm going to get different results. Well, you're insane. You're not. You're going to be, you could be a little bit better, but you're the same. Josh came in and changed how he worked, changed his attitude toward basketball, changed all his habits, and all of a sudden increased his workouts and his work habits, and he just took off. But it's because he changed everything. Now, but I've said it to he and Stacy. I mean, both of those guys are better. Now, they are good enough to be in that rotation? I don't know yet. I hope so. It would be nice to have 9 guys.
Well, building on the question, Mike, the front court this year, I look at this as possibly maybe your best offensive rebounding team. Would you think
We're skinny. We're skinny. We're not. I don't know. I mean, you guys are making assumptions about a team that I've coached 7 practices for an hour, 7 hours. And so you know more than I know. I have no idea right now. Really don't.
How much you have had that sort of physical presence the first 2 years here, and some of your better teams in Memphis. How do you compensate for maybe not having it?
Well, it depends on how you want to play. How you want to play pick and rolls, how you want to play post defense. There's different things you can do. But I do know this, that length, when you have length, and speed and quickness, you have bulk and all that. Well, you have speed and quickness and length, and the other guy has bulk. And it is basketball. There are officials out there. There's only so much you can do. So,
have you gotten a gauge from the new guys as to what they think about this whole scene? I mean, the whole fans, media. I mean, I guess nobody's ever prepared for it, but have you gotten a gauge for what they've thought of it so far?
I haven't spent any time with them on that. I've been racing around doing stuff, so my time with them has been on the practice court or at my house on more of a laid-back situation where we want to talk. But I think they're all excited and anxious. We're going to go down and do a rehearsal for tonight. So they'll go down after. We're going to have a practice tonight, and then we'll do a rehearsal so they'll know, so they're comfortable in what they've got to do. Look, you come here, you got to want this. This is what you want. That's why you come to Kentucky. If you don't want this kind of stuff, you don't come here. You just don't.
Cal, what would you say is the #1 strength you see so far, and your #1 concern you see so far?
Well, my concern is we're very young again. We're going to have 4 freshmen and 2 sophomores in our top 6. So that makes us very young. What I like is our length and our athleticism.
Coach, we can get you to just step away from the team for a minute, talk about conference realignment, some of your thoughts on.
You know what, I've done that for 6 months right now, so I'm just going to talk about my team, if that's okay.
John, you said 4 freshmen, 2 sophomores in the top 6?
4 freshmen, 2 in our top 7. Sorry. See, that's right. Hey, was it 5, 60, 10s? How many 10s was it? Do you understand? That's what happens to me.
John, did coaching the Dominican team teach you or help make you think about changing anything with the way you do this team this year?
Pick and roll. I'm really looking in and exploring pick and roll for this team. We've been doing it in practice, and I kind of like it. It gave me an insight that I did not have, 1, on how to guard it better, and 2, on the real subtle opportunities it creates for your team, especially when your bigs can really shoot. And our bigs can really shoot. So now it makes it a little different.
John, you talked a little bit last year, the players that you about learning to play together, getting to know each other, family, checking your egos at the door. Any feel for this team so far?
They've been good. They've been good. They're coming together. They're looking after each other. They're challenging each other. They're not afraid to police each other. From what I've heard in the weight room, a couple of the guys have stepped up on and challenged some guys to, do what they're supposed to do. Not in a mean way. Just come on now.
Coach, you talk about having another freshman point guard.
Torture. Early on, he'll turn the ball over and take bad shots. Early on, he's going to turn the ball over and he's going to take bad shots. I got to make sure he stays out of foul trouble because he's really physical defensively. But at the end of the year, this offense unleashes you as a point guard. It just does. And now what happens, last year we only averaged 10 turnovers a game last year for the season. You know what we averaged in Hawaii? I think it was 19 a game. And then by the end of the season it was 10. We were in the top 10 in the country in least amount of turnovers, playing fast. I mean, I'm not saying we're coming down throwing 12 passes and getting a guy a shot. We're playing fast. So I would predict this team will average 11 or 12 turnovers a game, something like that. Early on, it'll be 16 or 17. Later in the season, it'll be down there in that 10-9 range. I think we had a game at the end of the year, we had 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
And that was with a freshman point guard and 2 other freshmen playing a lot.
Do you think Duran will back him up in that position?
I don't know who's going to do that yet. I would say either Duran or Tawny, Jared. We have to look. Even Darius could play it if he needed to.
John, what separates, once a team gets to the Final Four, obviously all 4 of those teams are playing well. What separates those teams from the one who eventually wins it all? What's the difference once they get there?
Usually it's a play or two, or it's shooting. One team's on fire making shots, the other team isn't, stuff like that. But, the confident team, the team that has a swagger and has that one player. Sometimes in the NCAA tournament, it's one guy that separates you from every other team. You just hope you got that guy on your team.
John, do you hope to convince Davis he's a center, or you find
He's not a center. He's not a center. But the only guy that I can even say is somewhat of a center is Eloy, and Eloy's a 4. They're all 3 4s. Eloy's a 4-5. That's who we have.
Coach, sophomores being veterans nowadays, can you tell yet if Jones and Lamb possess that leadership gene, if such a thing exists?
They're working. They're really, what you have to do is you lead by example. And if you're leading, you're serving your team. It's not just what you're doing. You're serving everybody by how you work, how you help, what you do to pick everybody up. Yet you're still finishing first in the runs. You're the hardest worker in the weight room. And then you're doing things, how can I help my teammates? What do I do to make it easier for them? That's what a leader does. So those guys are growing into that. It's not easy to do because you got to really be one of those guys that works. You're a leader and you're in the tub. Come on, guys, work. And you're on ice. They don't want to hear that. You got to be out there and finishing first and dragging guys with you. You can do this. Keep breathing. I got your back. Just do what you're doing. You're doing great. That kind of stuff.
Of the younger guys, who do you see as a leader, or you look at and say, this guy has that?
Well, they're all in their own way. They all lead. They tell me Marcus has been the best in the weight room of any freshman that I've had. So that's why when you look at him, he's like a pit bull dog right now. And Marcus Teague stares at me when I talk to him. I'm talking open-eyed, what am I saying? Because he's going to do exactly what I said. It's unbelievable. He looks like he's one of the most coachable guys I've had to this point. But then again, Michael leads, Anthony leads. You want more than one leader because it's like flying like geese. Somebody steps up and then let this guy lead for a while. It's not your day, let him lead for a while. Those are the best teams I've had. We have more than one guy that can take the reins of the team and run with it.
What do you think about Cantor getting to play in Rupp Arena here in a couple of weeks?
That's great. Good for him. He's a great kid. Great kid. Going to be a heck of a pro, too.
Now, when you talk about the Kentucky effect, the blessing is to be here, how has that impacted you as a person and team?
Well, I say this, you sit in the seat I'm in, you can stay in your office and watch tape. or you can get out and be involved in this community, in this state. You can move people for good. You can reach out and visit, and a dinner. You can, and it's you know, it's like the other day we're in Louisville. There are 1,200 people, and you got ladies in wheelchairs and oxygen and crying, and you're like, what in the world is going on here? And I just happened to I walked around the room, and it was like you would believe. I mean, squeeze hugs, like the kind of hug like you get. And that's this position. It's not me. It's the position. And I say I'm only here for a short period of time. We've had one guy here who was here 42 years. The rest of us are here temporarily. And so you use the seat either for good or you stay in the office, watch tape, and I'm not doing that. I don't get involved in that stuff. And I've chosen to do the other, and doesn't take away from what I do. It makes me feel better, which makes me coach better, which makes me help my team understand that they've also been blessed to get involved. You know, we bring kids to practices and try to get them to understand how blessed they've been to be in the position they're in.
John, you've coached some guys that have been the #1 pick in the draft before. Anthony Davis' name has already been talked about that. How talented is he? How much has he impressed you already?
He's really good. He's a great kid. I mean, this kid has a smile on his face. If I told him you're playing center and you're going to have to slug it out, he'd say, okay. You know, and the reason we changed our break is I keep watching our team and saying, I don't want to run him to the rim because that's not what he is. Get out there and run and make plays and then slide in there if you need to. And it's interesting, but and we don't know how this thing's going to play out, who's going to be drafted where. That's all, you know, nonsense stuff at this point. But I'll tell you, he's good. Michael, they're all good. I've got a good team.
John, what personally will make this season a disappointment and won't make it a success?
Just as long as we're getting better and my team is improving and we're playing well and and there's a peace of mind for all of us, then it's a success.
This being Darius's final go-around, do you detect an extra sense of urgency out of him at this point?
You'd have to talk to him about it, but he looks great. I'm proud of him. He's a great kid. I mean, he'll do whatever this team needs him to do to win. That's what he'll do.
Coach, outside of your comments and Rick's reaction to it, how much do you enjoy being the guy who sparks that kind of reaction and maybe to coach some people up?
I'm just coaching my team. That's what I do. I work here at the University of Kentucky and I coach my team. That seems to aggravate a lot of people.
You talk about getting to the Final Four, and you hope you have that one special player. How many candidates do you have on this team to be that one?
I was still thinking about what I said. Tell me that again.
We can finish the other part. You talked earlier about being in the Final Four, and the team that wins usually has that one special player. I wonder how many candidates
Well,
you have on
let me
this
just tell you, to really be a good team, you need 3 guys, at least 2. You know, the coaching up stuff, you need 3 pros on your team in all likelihood.